Hey guys, so this is your second video instructionally about transformations. Up to this point we have talked about vertical or up or down movements, okay? This video is going to focus on left and right, okay? So before we get started, I want to make sure everybody has these parent functions written down, especially the ones that I have underlined in green. Those are the ones that you really need to focus on here, okay? Our quadratic, our absolute value, and our radical. Again, it's going to benefit you to get out a piece of paper and write these down, okay? Don't try and memorize it all in your head. It's going to help you. You can use those notes on an assessment, okay? Quick recap of our vocabulary. So we said transformation just means any way that I can move a graph on the coordinate plane. So if it moves up or down, left and right, those are all categorized as transformations. Vertical motion is up or down, and horizontal motion is left and right. And this is what we're going to focus on in this video, left or right movement, right? So without further ado, let's look at our rules. Make sure you get these written down on your piece of paper. So these are going to look similar to our vertical rules, but they're going to be a little bit different. You'll notice that before I had f of x and I had closed off my parentheses here and the number was outside. Here I have the number being added inside the parentheses. That is the big difference between vertical and horizontal movement. If the number is inside the actual function itself, that's describing left or right motion. Now here's the second thing. It's a little bit counterintuitive. So not only do we have to make sure for horizontal that it's inside the function, but you need to kind of reverse your thinking when it comes to plus or minus. Generally speaking, when we add a number, we think, okay, I'm going to move it to the right. However, with transformations, if you add a number inside the function, you are moving left. I repeat, you are moving left. If I subtract a number inside the function, that means you are going to move right. So make sure you get those written down. And let's take a look at what that would mean graphically. So if I have my, let's say this is my parent function of a quadratic, and I have an example inside, I have f of x, and I've added 3. Since there is a plus inside of our parentheses, that means that we're taking this graph, and remember, it's a little bit counterintuitive. We know it's horizontal because it's inside the parentheses. Since it's plus, though, we're actually moving to the left 3. And our new graph, oh, my marker's running a little low, would look something like that. On the other side, let's say that I had something that looked like this. Still in my parentheses, but since it's a minus, we're actually moving, starting from our original function, we're moving right this time. And that's just so you can see it graphically, so you can kind of put together what we're actually doing. All right, let's look at some examples then. I have 3 examples for you guys. Okay. So this is going to look a little bit different than what I just had up on the screen. Now I've renamed these functions. I have f of x, g of x, and h of x. Remember, those are just names of any graph. It's like Billy or Bob, whatever, same thing. Okay, so I have f of x equals x minus 3 squared. The first thing, just like vertical, you need to think, what does this function look the most like? And I told you guys I'm only going to use quadratic, absolute value, and radical, or square root. So you need to decide, of those 3 that Miss Carr told me, which one does this look the most like? And hopefully this is kind of a dead giveaway for you. If we have a square there, that means we're talking about a quadratic graph. Okay, so our original parent function, I'll just write it up here, is x squared. I apologize. And you're going to ask yourself, what have I changed from here to here? What has changed? Hopefully you guys can see that I don't just have an x squared anymore. I have this minus 3 inside parentheses. And guess what? It being inside the function, that's a dead giveaway that we're talking about left or right movement or horizontal shifting. So since it's inside the parentheses, now we know we're talking about left or right. We need to decide which way. Remember, left or right is a little backwards. So since this is minus, this means we're actually moving right 3. Okay. Let's take a look at the second one. So here, again, we're looking at which parent function does this look the most like. Since I see these bars, that's a giveaway that we are talking about an absolute value function. And remember, the original function for that just looks like this. So then we ask ourselves, what has changed from here to here? Well, inside those bars, I now have not just an x, I have a +4. That's a big change. Since it's inside the function and it's adding, this means that we are moving left 4. It's a horizontal transformation, left 4. Okay, last but not least, here we have our last example here. I have a parent function. This is not quadratic or absolute value. Instead, I see the square root sign. That means it's a radical function. And a radical function, its original parent looks like that. However, these two things do not look the same. We now have the -2 also under the square root. So be careful. This and this are two different things. In this one, the -2 is underneath the square root, being inside the function. In this one, the -2 is outside the function. This would actually be vertical or up and down motion because it's not under the square root. Okay? But since it is under the square root, we have horizontal shifting, and since it's minus, we know that that means right. So we are going right 2. Right? Now this is kind of tricky stuff, you guys, so if you do have questions, again, feel free to reach out to me. You know my office hours are Monday through Thursday, 9 to 11. All right, I'll let you take a look at that. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Good luck on your practicing and your assessment.